We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Meaningful Connection and Contribution series. This is our small business edition, and we have Tara Garrison with us today, who I'm really excited to kind of introduce you all to, because Tara is a realtor. And if you are in the networking scene in any way, shape, or form, you know that there are a lot of realtors, right? There are just always a lot of realtors. And so how do we distinguish between the kind of realtor we want to work with and the kind of realtor we don't want to work with? Well, we want to go with who we're feeling most meaningfully connected with, as long as they're a good realtor, which I can assure you she is, because I've worked with her before, right? So we want to pull back the curtain a bit here. And I don't mean like behind the scenes of the business necessarily. I'm talking about behind the scenes of who it is that's running the business, the face of the business, who Tara Garrison is. And I have shared that with Tara too, and told her that, that's the angle here, is for us to be real so that we can have more meaningful connection, so we can all support each other, meaningfully contributing in a way that matters for each of us. So Tara, you want to start off just by telling us who you are, the name of your business, and what brought you here today, willing to do this interview with me?
Yes, thank you so much, Toni, or Dr. Toni, for having me. So we're called the Garrison Crew. My husband and I run the team. We also have a transaction coordinator on our team. So we're local to Philly and the suburbs. So we do Philadelphia as well as Bucks, Montgomery, Delaware, and Chester counties. And we handle residential real estate team. We do have partners, however, that do commercial, as well as partners throughout the country and the world through Keller Williams that we have connections with. So if anyone is ever looking for a referral in Kansas or Seattle or anywhere, we can definitely help get you connected. Our main thing is that, we're mostly referral based, and that's really important to us. So our past clients refer, they use us again, they refer their friends and family, and that is really, really important. So a lot of what our focus is, Rob and I focus on youth and inspiring youth in the community, and just being in touch with what is going on and having events that bring people together. So because we have 3 kids that are 11, 12, and 15, a lot of the people we know also have kids and are in that kind of maybe sports arena or like in kid type things in their lives. So that's, we're always looking for connections, and I know Dr. Toni through networking. How long have we networked together? Like a couple years?
A couple years, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so we're in the Eastern Montgomery Chamber of Commerce, and she was putting this together, and happy to be a part of this showcase here.
So, all right. So as I shared, there's a lot of realtors out there, right, Tara? And that's something I've even heard you say. You're like, I know that there's a lot of realtors. I know that you have a lot of options, right? And I know that we could talk about what separates your business model from other realtors, and you're welcome to share that later on. But what I want us to really focus on right now is like, who is the person behind your business? Who is this person that's running your business? And you already shared a couple things, because you shared that your husband's involved in the business with you. You shared that you have 3 kids, right? And so that's a little bit about you. So can you tell us a little bit about, if we want to know who Tara Garrison is and what she's about, like, what would you want people to know about you as a human being, first and foremost?
Yeah, so I genuinely care about people. Like, I think that's the thing. Like, when people get into real estate, sometimes people go commercial, sometimes people go residential. And I feel like commercial is all about the numbers. Do the numbers make sense? But I'm about the relationships, and this person that didn't think they could buy a house, now they can, right? Like, I'm about the story and helping people get to somewhere that they didn't even know they could get to. So I genuinely care. And I genuinely always look for ways to connect people just in life in general. Like, I always say, if someone's hungry and someone bakes cookies, I connect them, right? They need each other. So I'm just always looking for connections, whether it affects me or not, or affects our business or not. I just like to be that person that is able to see how each other can benefit.
And I've seen that like in real time. I think most people that do actually already know you have seen that in real time. What would you say makes that so important to you? Like, what do you attribute that to? This this connection piece that's like, I want to pay it forward, so to speak. Like I want to contribute in a meaningful way. Where does that come from for you?
I think it comes from my mom, honestly. Like, she always helps everybody. She always like, I'm from Seattle originally, so she's not over this area, but she's always like, she'll go over to somebody's house and paint it. She'll go like clean somebody, like she just does that because she's a servant type mentality. And I feel like that's how I am. That's how I was raised. And it's just important to me to help people, especially if it's like somebody that can't help themselves in a certain way and you need to connect. I mean, sometimes I'm connecting somebody with a lawyer that I know and trust, and that lawyer is literally like saving their life in some way, like doing something that they really truly need. So it's not always me doing something, but it's just being that connection piece that's really, really important.
Yeah, for sure. And oh my gosh, what a testament to your mom. You know what I mean? Like for you to connect that to her in the way that you show up in your life, not just in your business, but like in your life right now. What a testament to her. That's beautiful. What would you say as a person like you value? How do you yourself value showing up? Let's say like if there's a conflict, or because in real estate, things don't always go smoothly.
No,
Right.
maybe not.
In marriage, things don't always go smoothly. In parenting, things don't always go smoothly, right? Like things just don't always go smoothly. And I know when we worked together, there were lots of things that didn't go smoothly, and the whole thing, that some bumps along that line, right? And so how would you say like you value as a human being, like showing up in those kinds of challenges when there's a conflict or something is unexpected or like things aren't going smoothly?
So I think I think you can expect that things aren't going to go smooth all the time. And I'm kind of a planner by nature. So I like to have it all planned out, and then I had 3 kids, and then I got into real estate. And these are all things that you can't control. I'm sure, with the kids thing, Dr. Toni, like I remember one time we went to a park. I went with my girlfriend. We each had 3 kids. They were all like, preschool age, maybe toddler age. And we thought, oh, we'll just go feed the ducks. Well, it turns out there was mud everywhere, right? So like we like left they were in flip-flops. We had to put their feet in we had these bread bags in the back of my car. We had to our cars. I mean, it's just things you can't control, right? Things you can't plan, you didn't know. And she actually had an appointment or something to go to after this little 15-minute feed the ducks trip. So you kind of just have to roll with it. I think when you have kids, you learn that very quickly. And being a person that likes to control a lot of things and plan a lot of things, it is definitely challenging. I think that real estate and having kids has forced me to grow in a way that I did not expect, right? I won't say I'm great at it. I would say that I'm, it's always something you got to work with. And I feel like every season comes a different set of sports or a different grade in school or a different season even in real estate. A lot of times spring is like a busier season, or there's different things going on with the market that make things busier or slower. So every season, I feel like Rob and I are kind of regrouping, okay, this is the kind of the rhythm of the softball, the baseball, or the football, or whatever it is, and what's going on with the kids and real estate. But we truly have to juggle all the time. A house comes on the market and you have to go show it right away a lot of times. And I can't tell you, I laugh because Sunday I time block my calendar. So I've been really good about doing this the last month, time blocking for the week. But I use a reusable pen, literally reusable, erasable. And I'm, okay, we got to change this because settlements move, showings move, houses come on the market, and things get added into the schedule. So it just really is always kind of a juggle. What was your question? Did I hit the question? No, I got on this tangent. Oh, I remember.
Around the values that you have in showing up, when there's conflict or something isn't going according.
So as a realtor, there's always we know that it's not gonna be that it's very rare that it's a smooth sailing transaction, that everything's amicable all throughout with the buyer and the seller and everything. It does sometimes happen, but I just like to give somebody all of the options. So even when you and I were working together, okay, this is the challenge, identify it. These are your 3 options or your 2 options. We could do this or this. Which do you prefer? And then the ball is in the court of our clients and they can decide which way to go, because there's always something. There's something that can be done. It might not be something that you want to do, but you have to decide out of these options what you want to do. And there's things that come up financial, there's things that come up on title, like there's just things that come up with the township that they require, and you just don't know what that's going to be, and you can't plan it. Like when we go to take a listing, we don't know all of the things or the challenges that are going to come. So we kind of roll with it and we give them the options and we communicate every step of the way. So our clients aren't left wondering what's going on now. Like they know throughout the process what's going on and what their options are along the way.
So the communication, learning how to kind of roll with it, giving options, all of those pieces. There's so many uncontrollables, as you said, in parenting and all of the things in life, there's uncontrollables, right? So as someone who knows that about themselves, who chose real estate, was that what you wanted to do when you were a kid? Or like, what did you want? Did you have an idea of like what you actually wanted to do or become professionally when you were growing up or before this?
That's a good question. I mean, I thought, so my mom's a nurse, my dad's a pharmacist. I thought growing up, oh, I'll be a nurse. And then I found out pretty quick I did not like blood. So that was like X out of the equation. So I think the nurse thing kind of goes with my personality of trying to care and help people, which is what made sense for my mom. So I could see how I would have been an okay nurse if I could handle the blood. I graduated in communications, in advertising with a minor in marketing. So I always had jobs related to communications or marketing or merchandising. And after I had the kids, I was laid off after I had the first one before the second one. And then we had a second one, then we had a third one. So I always did little side hustle things like Arbonne, or I worked for different people from home and tried to do a little thing here or there. But the reason I got in real estate is not something I was never interested in real estate, thought I would do real estate, but Rob said, hey, honey, maybe you should get into real estate someday. And, we had already bought our house, but we were thinking about buying a bigger house and selling that one at some point. So I got into real estate before we did that. So it was nice to have those transactions as a realtor rather than just a homeowner, selling and buying. But I don't know that I necessarily knew exactly what I was getting into. I've been in real estate 7.5 years and he's like 2.5 years in. So yeah, I don't think it was like my dream job or something like that, but I do really enjoy it. And there's obviously stressful times with everything and trying to juggle. So, I mean, I think it's pushed me to grow in those ways where I can time block my schedule and then be flexible at the same time, because sometimes you have to be. But I'm not going to say it's easy, because that is challenging for me. I would much rather have like this set schedule thing. But real estate gives us the flexibility to be able to be at the kids' sports, to be able to do things in the community, help out at the school. Like that's how we do it. If I were working a 9 to 5, I don't know how we get all the kids all the places they need to be.
Because in some ways you get to make your own schedule, but in other ways you don't, right? Because you have to deal with those uncontrollables that come up. And you said something that I think would be relatable and helpful to hit on a little bit for those that are tuning in and wanting to get to know you, is you said you've been in real estate for 7.5 years, but your husband's been in for around, I think you said 2.5 years. So he kind of put the bug in your ear, you started doing real estate, and then at some point you became a team in doing this. Is that right?
Yes. So Rob managed car dealerships for lots of years, and he had the role, he dealt with the public. Like in real estate, we deal with the public. In car sales, you deal with the public, like all walks of life, any kind of person, age, everything, like you're dealing with random people that you don't really know. And so he's very good at reading people. He's very good at dealing with all kinds of people. he's very street smart. I'm not so much. I'm more like book smart. So I'm more like, if you say you're happy and you're smiling, I'm going to believe you're happy, even if you look like you're sad underneath, like I don't pick up on things like he does usually. So that kind of makes us a good team because we have different skill sets. But we both are like, we'll talk to anybody. We have a really strong work ethic, both of us. And there's a lot of similarities with having to juggle these things that make us a good team. Like we're not necessarily opposites in all of those, but I feel like it makes us really hardworking, and people know that when they work with the Garrison crew, they're going to get a good solid team that does a good job and doesn't just be like, oh, I'm going to take off and not do, in real estate, you have to follow the deadlines. Like you can't be like, hey, I'll just take off a few days. It's flexible in that, yes, if I don't call people or talk to people and I don't drum up any more business, I can just go take a vacation. But if there's work that needs to be done, it's usually on a certain day that it needs to get done. If you're under contract, you can't just make up your own dates.
Yeah. So you're managing being mom, you're managing working with your partner, you are managing your business, right? And then obviously managing yourself. So as you are doing all of that, what would you say is maybe the number one thing you would want people to know about you as someone who manages all of these different parts of their life? Would you say that because you have the experience managing all these different parts of your life, you have a different kind of understanding for folks that maybe have a lot going on themselves, or wanting to start a family, or are needing to bring their family with them because they don't have a sitter, or all of these different extenuating circumstances that come with, like you said, dealing with the public, with people that are coming from different places in their life stages? Would you say you managing all of these things in your life helps you with that? Do you bring that perspective with you as you're working with different people and in different situations?
Yeah, I mean, we work with all different types of, like a family, somebody that doesn't have kids or doesn't have kids yet, somebody that's outgrowing a house, a first-time home buyer. A lot of times the trickiest, most emotional type things are either a first-time home buyer walking them through the process and they didn't know they could get there, and that's really special. But another time is when someone might have lost a family member and now this house has to be sold, and maybe it's to pay medical bills or whatever it is, or sometimes it's somebody maybe has fallen or been, something's happened in the home and they just can't live there anymore. So they have to get moved in with family or to a nursing home type of thing. So there's a lot of emotions when you're dealing with adult children trying to come together and maybe clean out a house, maybe move a family member, or more in the loss of a family member. And those times, not just, I truly don't feel that every realtor is equipped to deal with that or handle that in the best way. You have to be patient, you have to be kind, you have to be just give time as time is needed, and sometimes it does take a little longer. So those type of transactions have been, I felt like we've done a really good job with helping guide people in that way, but those are to me the most emotional ones, and the ones where they need a realtor. It might be adult children that have totally different ways of life, thoughts on money, thoughts on different things and what's going to happen with the family members' furniture and all that stuff, and now they have to come together and work on a business transaction. This is something that has to happen, and maybe these siblings never got along in their life. Maybe they have a totally different, we come into these situations and it's people that wouldn't normally go buy a house together, but yet they're forced to sell a house together and make big decisions for people. So those are, I feel tricky.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I can attest to, so my husband and I have, we approach things very differently. And so when we were working together with you, you were very patient with that, right? You weren't you were clear and firm about the options, but you weren't like pushy, or you know what I mean? There was a balance of, you know, this is what you can do, and yes, you have time to do it, but you know, here's the structure. And you're very patient with how we, you know, approach things differently. So I can definitely attest to, you know, folks that are coming from different situations, tricky situations, challenging relationship dynamics. Yes, there are a lot of realtors, and also not all realtors come with an understanding, compassion, and patience for navigating those kinds of situations. And I think because you have a heart in like that relationship realm, you care about meaningful connection, right? Like the heart of the series. I think that shows. I think that shows. And I'll attest to that. I'll personally speak to that because I've gotten to experience that. We had gone through 3 realtors, and not to say anything negative or bad about those 3 realtors. It was just that they were unable to sell our home. But in working with you immediately, like you told us what we did not want to hear and what we did not want to do. But you were very clear about like, these are the options if you really want this to happen. And I really appreciated that, because there is a way to do that with grace, and there is a way to do that without grace. And you did that with grace. And I think it's really helpful for folks that are tuning in to hear that, even if it's another realtor, like to hear that feedback, right? Of like a way that they can learn and grow themselves. So I'm going to switch us into the area where I get to connect and contribute with you, sharing my gifts and the way that I support folks. And one of the ways that I do that is through coaching and supporting folks with challenges. So I asked you to drum up a challenge that you are going through, that you would like some support with or some coaching on. So you tell me what you're bringing to me today, what you got.
So I was thinking about my to-do list, and it's always very, very long, and it always seems a little unmanageable. I have been, like I said, I have been time blocking for the week, and then just knowing that it juggles a little here or there, especially when you get to the end of a day. Like I'm pretty good at keeping things in the earlier part of the day, but then by the end, things happen. Things happen in real estate, things happen with kids, and you just kind of have to roll with it. But I guess like, how do I feel like, yay, I checked this off my list when I can say, oh, I have 100 other things I got to do. Like, how do I feel like I'm making some progress, or I can stop and feel good about something when it just never ends. Like I'm going to get, add 20 more things on the list today.
That's right. You're right. It doesn't ever end, right? So what would you say your end goal is when you are making these lists? What is the purpose of them? Why do you create them?
Well, so things have to get done on certain days. So I guess there's some things that have to get done right then or on that certain day. And then there's some things that I just need to do. And maybe it's on the list for like a month because maybe it isn't a top priority. So just feeling like I can relax. I guess I don't always feel like I can relax because I have this list hanging over my head.
Okay. So you want to get things done so that you can feel like you can relax.
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay. So if the list is endless, which you have shared is the case, right? But the reason you have the list is so that you can get them done so you can relax. Would it make sense then that since that list never gets done, you never really feel like you get to relax?
Kind of true. Yeah, kind of true. I mean, I have it on my calendar. So I have like certain things and then like, oh, if I don't do that, I just move it to another day. And, these things drag on.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you have the perception that I have this list to get things done so that I can relax, then knowing that the list will never actually get done means that you're never really allowed to give yourself permission to relax. And the caveat is, if you never really get permission to relax, then you're never going to feel accomplished no matter how much you get done on the list, because you already know the list will keep growing.
Yeah. Well, when you say it like that.
Right. So it's important to know why we do certain things in order for us to begin to shift them. And sometimes it's not so much that we even need to shift what we're doing, although I do think we can make some shifts here in what you're doing. it's sometimes what you'll find is you just have to make a shift in the perspective you have as you approach it.
Mhm.
So right now, your perspective is I make this list so that I can finally get things done, feel accomplished, and then I'll be able to relax. But then I circle right back to I have to have this list in order to get things done, but the list never ends. And so I can never relax. So I never feel accomplished. And then there's more to do. And in order for me to feel accomplished, I have to add those things on the list so that I can get them done. But they never get done because there's always more to add, right? Like it's like this circle that keeps on going and keeps on going and keeps on going. And that, I mean, will exhaust you. It
Good
does, I
point.
mean, it sounds exhausting me just saying it, doesn't it? It's like it just will. You're not alone in that boat. A lot of people do that. I've certainly have been there before. I've shared some of my past stories with you. And so just starting with that awareness of like, I'm in this perpetual circle right now, this perpetual cycle right now. We need to have that awareness. Okay. So I don't think that let's hold that awareness there. I don't think that writing down what you need to get done is a bad or wrong thing. When you write down what needs to be done, it can reduce the mental clutter if when you write it down, you are releasing it to the time frame you're writing it down. So like I'm writing this down, call this person at this time. It's now released because you wrote it down and you know that, and you're a doer, I know you are. So you know that you're going to do it, which means that it doesn't have to be held in your mind anymore. And that in and of itself will release the mental clutter. So it's okay to write it down. In fact, it's helpful to write it down, but not if in writing it down, you still have to hold on to it mentally.
Oh, okay. I'm taking.
Does that make sense? Right? Like, right. So in the act of writing it down is you solidifying it's going to be taken care of in this segment, in this time frame, at this time. So if you trust yourself to do that, do you trust yourself to do what you need to do?
Yes.
And I believe you. I believe that you trust yourself. Some people don't, but I believe that you do. So if you trust yourself that it's going to get done once it's written down, it no longer needs to take up real estate, unintended, right, in your mind.
Mhm.
So
It's those things though. It's like the big thing. It's like the example, like going to do taxes, right? Like when I'm doing my mileage or doing like I don't like doing something like that. It takes a really long time to get through all of these like medical bills and stuff. So it's those things that like I don't know, just bigger projects that don't feel as important but still need to get done. And yeah, so maybe it is time blocking those specific things and saying on this day
you're
and
ready to, I would say, because you've tried time blocking, and if there's parts of that that have worked for you, hey, keep doing it. But what you've shared with me previously is that you've been frustrated with time blocking. So maybe that's changed. I don't know. But I am a proponent for time blocking, but not in the conventional sense. There's not one way to time block. There's a million ways to time block. So you have to find the way that works for you. And part of that is starting with that, noticing the loop that you already have going on that we just talked about, that's exhausting for you. All right. And what we want to do is with that awareness, we're going to step back from that awareness for a moment. And when you begin your day, I want you to begin your day with the question, what would help me feel successful today?
That's good.
When you break it down in a clear and intentional way, you can be much more specific about what success actually feels like for you, right? Which is connecting with what your permission to relax. If I feel successful, if I feel like I've been successful today, if I feel like I've accomplished things today, I give myself permission to relax. But that sense of success and accomplishment for you is attached to an endless to-do list. So we need to find a different thing to attach it to that's practical yet powerful.
Huh.
So starting your day with the question, what is it that will help me feel successful today? Write that down. It could take you 30 seconds. This doesn't have to take, 3 hours. Write that down. and then circle back around to that throughout the day. Am I doing those things?
Mhm.
Or just circle back around to that at the end of the day. You'll kind of find the rhythm that works best for you, right?
Yeah.
That right there, each day you get to redefine what it is that helps you feel successful in that day.
Mhm.
And if you find that that's still overwhelming, then I want you to start just with the morning. What is it that will help me feel? We'll break it down even more this morning. And then when the morning has passed, this afternoon. And then when the afternoon has passed, this evening. And it could take just 30 seconds. So if you're breaking it down to morning, afternoon, evening, that's 90 seconds
Mhm.
to reset throughout the day, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So we're noticing the loop you had going on that was exhausting for you. And that noticing is helping us decide that we want to kind of start at a different place, give you a different way of defining success and that experience so that you can give yourself permission to relax and then try that out. And I'll also send you, and I'll put it in the links here too for anyone interested. I think I told you, I have an intentional scheduler that you can use too. And there's a little mini course with it that will attach some of the brain science behind what helps it to work and customizing it to yourself. And you could print out, it has a template, it's printable. You could print it out and you could use that if you feel like you want a little bit more structure to this as well.
Thank you so much. That was really helpful.
Yay. Thank you everyone for joining us today. If you have any questions or ways that you want to connect with Tara, what's the best way for folks to reach out and connect with you?
My cell phone is 215-205-3716, or you can email me at taragarrison@kw.com.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you everyone for being with us. Always love talking with you, Tara. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, y'all. See you later.
Thank you.